You from the beautiful metaverse, and more specifically, beautiful Danville, Illinois, homeland of the Corellian tradition. And welcome to Midday with Reverend Don. And if you follow Midday with Reverend Don, you will know that if you would like to interact with me directly, you can type your comments or questions onto whatever platform you happen to be watching this program on, and they will appear in my chat room here, and we can speak directly. And I want to thank you for joining me. This is one of my favorite times of day when we get to talk this way, and I quite enjoy it. I want to take a moment to send my concern to Mary Cavalcante, who is a regular follower of this program, to let her know that we are thinking of her. And I ask you all to keep her in your hearts. And hello to Ravenwolf in the chat room. It's good to see you, Ravenwolf. Today we're going to be continuing our conversation about the Parliament of the World's Religions. Before we get to that, I just want to take a moment to recommend my Patreon, which you can find at revdonlewis.com. And hello to Antonio in the chat room. And as part of my Patreon, I do a lot of different things, like my Monday night chat room that happens every Monday and is available to all my patrons, a monthly newsletter that we do once a month, a monthly seminar. The next seminar is going to be about the Parliament of the World's Religions, occurring after Parliament, and we'll talk about the experiences that I have there this year, and probably other experiences from the past as well, and many other things. So it's a fun group to belong to. I hope you'll consider joining at revdonlewis.com. I also want to take a moment to recommend my readings. If you're interested in getting a reading, I do tarot and clairvoyance, and I can also do past life readings. Any of these, if you're interested, contact me by instant messenger on Facebook or Instagram, or email at donlewishp@aol.com. And hello to Jan Moe in the chat room. Good to see you, Jan. And these are things that I do, and some of them I had not done for a long time. I've been a reader most of my life, but the last few years I was only really available for special events, usually charity events. But now I've returned to reading because my life has changed, and now in my retirement years, I find that I have the time to return to reading and have done so. I also am looking forward to doing more artwork as I go forward. And one of the things that I'm looking at is a children's book I may be involved in the near future. So lots of things happening, and I'm happy to have you along for this trip. So today we're going to, and Ravenwolf mentions the seances. So I'm going to take a moment to mention the upcoming seance. In the month of October, I have often chosen to do seances, and I'm doing so this year. The first one will be on Saturday, October 7th. And you can get a ticket to this if you're interested at corellianpublishing.com. I'm also doing a seminar on seances. And you can, that is for my Patreon seminar tier, but it's also available by ticket also at corellianpublishing.com, along with many other interesting things. And the seance again is October 7th, and that will be at 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern. And it will be an interesting experience. Now, we're also doing on Saturday, September 30th, a seminar on seances, what they are, how you do them, etc. If you'd like to learn about the seance before you actually come to one. And all of these I think you'll find fascinating. Hello to Janet in the chat room. Good to see you, Janet. Seances are an interesting and often misunderstood thing. They're misunderstood partly because there are different ways of doing them. And there are different tastes in seance. Some people really like the Oogie Boogie style seance where everything is dark and very dramatic and so forth. Hello to Deb in the chat room. It's good to see you, Deb. And Hollywood likes that kind of seance too, but in reality, it's not necessary to be that way. And hello to George in the chat room. It's good to see you, George. And George says, hope all is going well in Danville. It is, George. Thank you. In Danville is Danville. But, you know, we had a terrible period of heat here. And once again, we're in more temperate days. So I'm appreciating that. I've been out walking. It's been quite nice. So, again, some people think of the seances in very boogie terms, but the truth is a seance is simply sitting for spirits, bringing through those messages, and it can and should be as natural as anything. And hello to Melanie in the chat room. Hello to Renee in the chat room. And it's good to see you both. Hello to Bradley in the chat room. It's good to see you, Bradley. And I love seeing all of you every day. It's a wonderful time of my day. So I was going to talk today about the Parliament of World's Religions again, but particularly today I wanted to talk about the press. And I have some very particular things to say about our own press. And you know, if you follow my work, that I'm a great believer in the idea we must define our own image. We must create our own image, not merely allow others to define us. And one of the biggest ways to do that is through the press. And we have had a press presence as such, recognized as press, all the way back to 1999. Sir Ed Hubbard has spent years developing our press presence. Starting in 1999, the previous parliament in 1993, he was on staff, so he was obviously not doing press. But starting from 1999, he has been recognized as press. Hello to Brian in the chat room. Good to see you, Brian. And this year, the combined Pagan World Press Corps and Corellian Press Corps, who will be working together as a joint team at Parliament, consists of 18 members to date. And hello to Monica in the chat room. Good to see you, Monica. And it's quite a press presence, and they have top-tier press recognition. That is the same kind of recognition as network television, the same level. Things like ABC or NBC or PBS. And that's because we've been doing it so many years. And Sir Edward worked for years and years to build this up. And since 2015, Sir Laurie Blackman has been the Corellian Press Secretary, also working to build this up. And they're working together to bring us the best possible coverage of Parliament from a pagan point of view. And I think this is a very valuable thing. You will be able to see this on so many different platforms that we do. Chances are the platform you're watching this on, you will see that coverage on, starting with the parade. And Monica says, thank you, Lord Don. It's great to see you too. Thank you, Monica. We have all sorts of different ways we'll be covering. We'll be doing interviews, we'll be doing events, we'll be coming from the floor. It's going to be fascinating and very interesting and perhaps interactive, just as we're interacting here and now. I would expect that it will be. I'm not myself a member of the press corps. I will be a subject of the press corps. But we're going to be very, very busy at Parliament. And because of this, even if you're not at Parliament, you can get a real feel for Parliament. You can see many of the things happening at Parliament, meet many of the people who will be at Parliament. And we've done this many years. You know, Parliament has been Edward's love and obsession since as long as I've known him, longer than I've known him. And why not? Look at what it is. The leaders of the world's religions, the members of the world's religions coming together to speak in peace. How amazing is that? And Deb says, I can't wait. This will be my first Parliament. Deb, this is going to be such a wonderful experience, and I can't wait to see you there. And for those of you who don't know, Deb and I have worked together on books in the past and probably will again in the future. She is a wonderful person, and I'm looking forward to seeing her at Parliament. And everyone I've watched has had a transformative experience at Parliament. Brian says, also my first Parliament, an honor to be a member of the press corps with Sir Ed and Lady Laurie. And we're glad to have you, Brian. And I can't wait to see you also. And with Brian, it will be our first, first time meeting at Parliament. This will be wonderful. First time seeing Deb at Parliament. And Parliament is just a different experience. I'm looking forward to the parade, which will be covered by the press corps. And the parade is the very beginning of Parliament and is kind of, I believe, replacing the opening procession from earlier years, because it will actually be a public parade in downtown Chicago. And we will be part of it. We have our spot in the parade. And I intend to walk that entire distance, for which I am girding my loins, as they say, because I'm sure I'll also be rather tired at the end, and everyone will be. But how good will we feel to have done that? And hello to Kazan in the chat room. You know, the last time I was in a significant parade was Haunted Happenings in Salem. Myself, Selena Fox, Phaedra Bonowitz, Oberon Zell, Sir Edward, and Foxglove, Death McLeod, and others. We had seats on our float in that parade, and I have to tell you, it was so exhilarating to be part of that. Now, Sir Laurie in the chat room says, we're thrilled to have all the members of the press corps join us, many for the first time. It is so impressive. And Sir Laurie says, I'm dreading that walk. And you know, it's, what is it? 1 1/3 miles, I think it is, something like that. It's substantial, particularly for we older people, but it's not so substantial. Well, we'll be fine. And you know, parades don't move at that great a pace in Chicago anyway. Now, I do have to remember, you know, I've been part of the River City Pride Parade in Jacksonville every year for several years as part of Nefeltlick. And many years we've had a float in that parade. And that's been absolutely exhilarating as well. Not pagan themed, although we were, and not religious themed, although we were, but unlike the Haunted Happenings parade, but a fabulous parade, a fabulous experience. And hello to Melanie in the chat room. So good to see you, Melanie. And Laurie says, I think we'll be okay since it's slow and we have company. I do remember Sir Laurie Denman ended up being thrown out of the Pride Parade one year because she just couldn't keep up. And the poor little police car following at the end said, I'm sorry, I have to ask you to walk on the sidewalk. But that parade moves faster, I think, than a Chicago parade will do. But it was always a fabulous experience. No, my first real parade experience was Haunted Happenings. The River City Parade has been a wonderful thing. My favorite River City parade was the anniversary of, I think the 30-year anniversary of the event. And the theme was 1978. I think it was 1978. But we had a combination disco, Star Wars, witch theme for our float. It was wild. Monik says, I wish I could be there. It's a wonderful event. We wish you could be there too, but you can be there vicariously through the coverage we'll be bringing, and it will be wonderful. And Kazan says, I hope it will be on the news or TV or something. And, you know, it probably will, particularly in the Chicago area. But you can see it right here on our Pagan World News, um, probably live while it's happening. I believe that's the intention. And and certainly also later. It will be an amazing event, an amazing thing to take part in, and an amazing thing to watch and join vicariously. So even though we have, what I think, around 60 people physically coming to Parliament, hundreds more can come virtually because of the way that we will be covering it. It really will bring it to you and bring you to it in a way that, you know, you'd have to have watched previous years to understand, but watch this year and you'll see what it's like to be virtually present. You know, the one I most remember was Australia, which was also my first time at the Parliament. And one of the things we did was, I want to say it was 9 hours of continuous broadcasting from the Parliament floor. That is, from the hallways. And we sat down, anyone willing to do an interview, to give people an idea of what it was like to be there. And hello to Calvin in the chat room. Calvin says hello from Raleigh, North Carolina. Hello, Calvin. Hello, Raleigh. And I've always thought that that had an immediacy about it that was particularly enjoyable. Some years we focused more on interviews, some years more on events, sometimes more on formal coverage, sometimes more on informal coverage. I think we'll have all of that this time. And why? Because we have enough people to cover everything in many ways. And I think that you are going to really enjoy the Pagan World coverage of Parliament. And again, our press corps has top-tier clearance as an actual press corps. It's not a bunch of people who are informally pointing cameras. It's a full-fledged, real-world press corps acting as a real-world press corps. I realize that you might not understand how hard that was to attain. They don't give it to just anyone. It took Sir Edward a lot of work to get it in the first place, and it's taken Sir Ed and Sir Laurie lots of work to maintain it. It's a big deal. And but one of the things about it is we are a real press corps, and the coverage we bring will justify that presence. And I think that you will particularly enjoy taking part in the Parliament in that way, those who can't be there physically. And you know, one of the things we've always tried to do through our video offerings and also through our audio offerings is to offer a way for people to vicariously attend what they cannot be at physically. We have spent years covering many live events so that people who perhaps could never attend an event or a festival for geographic reasons, for health reasons, for disability reasons, could still get a feel for what it's like. We have interviewed so many people at so many events. When I did my Adventures in Pagan Media video, I couldn't touch on them all. I had dozens and dozens of clips and didn't begin to get to all of them because there have been so many. And I see that as a duty to the community, a gift to the community that I'm very proud of. And Kazan says that they are curious what kind of workshops does the Parliament offer during the conference. And oh my goodness, they widely range. Some of the ones that will be presented by Corellians include the film Journey to the Parliament, a Corellian regional illustration, and Melanie, who we spoke to just a moment ago, is doing a presentation on the exact title is to the effect of the what's the role of women in ritual and ceremony and their importance in it. I know that's not the exact title, I apologize. Women and the Invisible Labors of Ritual. That's the exact title. Thank you, Melanie. And you know, truly, a lot of that labor is invisible. And I think this will be a fascinating workshop. I'm hoping to attend it. And Melanie has many years of experience to inform what she's going to present. Other kinds of things that you can see presented at Parliament include things like this that deal with particular aspects of a given religion from many different religions. Worship ceremonies from many different backgrounds. The Sikh Langar, which is the communal meal that's offered daily at Sikh temples, will also be offered at Parliament. And Laurie says, I believe all three of us are on Thursday. I believe we are. And hopefully scheduled in such a way that that we're all able to see all of our offerings. And yes, it's Corellian Thursday at Parliament. That is so cool. There's sacred music presented. There are often workshops on indigenous religion. There are presentations on artwork. There are all kinds of things. I couldn't begin to number them. They're in the hundreds, if not thousands. And a lot of them deal with climate change and climate action, which is a matter of concern for many of the world's religions. Some of them deal with helping the community, helping society. Some of them deal with particular problems that certain religions face that others may not. We have in the past done workshops on our peace campaign and our peace warriors. One year I was involved in a workshop on men and the goddess. And if you'd like to see that, and many other workshops from past parliaments, they're on Magic TV. And I believe that they will be showing on Pagan World during this month. What I thought was odd, it was a beautiful workshop, Men and the Goddess, but what I thought was odd is that I don't think men in any other religion with a female divine would be asked how they relate to it. I don't really understand why it's a question here, because most of the world's religions have both male and female ways of interfacing with deity. Now, sometimes they may not refer to that female face as goddess, but she's likely to still be there. In Christianity, you have Mother Mary. You also have Sophia. You have other figures depending on the branch of Christianity, and I've never heard a Christian male ask how he can work with Mary when she's female. So I've always thought that was an odd question, but an interesting one to be able to speak to. Now, Sir Laurie points out this year there will be a women's village through the halls of Parliament, which will be fascinating, I'm sure. And Brian says there's a lack of something at Parliament when the theme is human rights. And I believe Brian is referring to the desire that there should be a little bit more emphasis on the LGBTQ community, which I have to agree with. I think that would have been desirable. But you know, I'm also not sure what all is being offered, but there'll be many things. And you know, some things we must bring attention to ourselves. And Brian says that exactly that, and thank you for agreeing with me. This is an issue with many of the world's religions, and it's a thing. And it would be good to have a little more focus on that. But you know, Parliament, this is not the only Parliament, and it can be brought to their attention. Another thing that we have long spoken of is the persecution of people accused of witchcraft around the world. Parliament doesn't tend to like to deal with that either, because it can be a controversial issue. And I would like to see more of an emphasis on that as well. I think that's very much a human rights issue. Soret has been talking about this all the way back to the first Parliament, because it is a serious issue in some parts of the world. Now, Melanie points out there's a list of available programming on the Parliament website. Yes, indeed, you can go there and see everything that's offered. I think the list is complete. I do not know it off the top of my head, so I can't address everything that's there, but there are many wonderful things there. And I think that there's more than enough for everyone. And our coverage of Parliament may ask some of those difficult questions. Our coverage of Parliament will bring you all of those interesting workshops. Our coverage of Parliament will also be our chance to present ourselves the way we want to be seen, rather than just being seen as others see us. And, I always emphasize the importance of presenting ourselves. And, nobody has done more to further that than Soret Hubbard over these 30-odd years, with radio, with video, with print formats, so many things, and continuing forward with Pagan World. It's been an incredible ride to be part of and to watch. And I know there's much more coming. And you can be there with Soret, with all of us at Pagan World. Be part of the ride, be part of the adventure, and be part of Midday with Rev Don. And again, I love spending this time with you. I love you all. And tonight, I will be doing Tarot Tuesday here on Pagan World. I mean Tarot Thursday here on Pagan World. I believe it was Tarot Tuesday once, but it's Tarot Thursday now. And I believe that is this evening at, I believe, 9 p.m. Central. And it will be a lovely evening. And yes, 9 p.m. Central, 10 p.m. Eastern, and we will have a lovely show. And Deb says that she's glad for the programming because even being there, she knows there's a lot she's going to miss, and this is true. The one complaint I've often heard about Parliament is you can't see everything you want to see because there's just too much in too short a period of time, even with a week-long event. So with that, I want to thank you all for joining me, and let us close with our prayer as we do every day. Divine Mother Goddess, Divine Father God, beloved ancestors, we thank you for all that you do in our lives, and we rejoice in your presence in our lives. Help us to go forward in joy and to experience the wonders that life has to offer with an open heart. Beloved Mother Goddess, beloved Father God, beloved ancestors, we thank you, and knowing you are always with us, but from respect, we thank you for your presence, and may you be blessed now and always. And I thank you for your presence. I love you all. I love this time of day. I'll see you again tomorrow. And until then, may you be blessed now and